let's bring in Fox News contributor and former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker, along with Fox News contributor and former investigator Ted Williams, and former FBI Special Agent Stuart Kaplan. Lady and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you a few things just to have you react to what we've just heard. Brown shooting suspect found dead in storage unit from self-inflicted gunshot. When we are getting this news in real time, Nicole, let's begin with you. Are you surprised, not surprised? You share Paul Morrow's concern that maybe the shooter has not acted alone, and we're still looking for other people as part of a conspiracy.
Right. You always have to look at that as a possibility in law enforcement. Paul's exactly right. You don't rule out any possibilities until you've done a full and thorough investigation, because we do not know if this individual is acting alone. But what I can say is I commend the law enforcement. This was an all hands on deck. This was the local, state, and federal law enforcement officers that were coming from Providence, from Rhode Island, from Salem, New Hampshire, FBI, ATF. This is what good law enforcement looks like, and this is what makes Americans proud, and this is why we back the blue and we back the fine men and women of ATF and FBI. What they basically did was they cornered this suspect. He had no other choice. He was desperate, and he knew that he was done. They caught him. He was over, and he said, you know what? I am a coward, in my opinion. He couldn't face them, and so he did. He shot himself to escape the justice that he knew was coming. But let me tell you, I do believe justice will be served, whether it's now or when he meets his maker. Justice will be served. He will not escape justice. But again, we commend the law enforcement. But I think what's important is that leading up to these days, all of us were extremely frustrated. I myself was one of them. Frustrated at Brown University, frustrated at different things. But I would be curious to know and understand what was the tip that led to this individual. And I've always said human intelligence is still the most powerful, in my opinion. It is because the FBI linked together the Ring doorbell cameras of the neighborhood people in the Brown University area, the surrounding neighborhood. They linked it together. The media did a phenomenal job of putting out what they could. This individual had a mask on. I think there should be a big wake-up call to everyone. COVID normalized masks. Masks are not a friend to law enforcement. That has to go. That hinders our ability to do investigations because facial recognition and other high technology does not work. But because of COVID, you see someone with a mask, and Kellyanne, you don't even think twice because you think, oh, you know what, they're a germaphobe or whatever. But
right.
we
see them in their cars
that
sometimes talking to themselves in their masks, walking down the street with fresh air. You're right.
That has to go. That has to go. No more masks. It should not be normalized in public places when it's just totally inappropriate and unacceptable. Again, but yeah.
Ted, I'd like to ask you, you were investigator for so many years. If this suspect acted alone and is now dead, what clues are you piecing together? What evidence will you be able to find? What interests you next in understanding his motive and why the people at Brown University, if they in fact were targeted or if it was random, what would you be looking for?
That's an excellent question, Kellyanne. I got to tell you, since they found him dead at that storage unit is now a crime scene. And so what investigators are going to have to do at this stage is to walk back from that storage unit to try to determine as much as they possibly can about this guy. They already have a great deal of information concerning him. But one of the questions that is unanswered at this stage, as far as we know, and we may know later at the press conference, is there a nexus between the MIT killing of the professor there and what took place at Brown? One of the things that I've looked at throughout these events was the fact that at Brown, you saw him walking around the neighborhood. He was definitely casing the neighborhood. But was he also setting up an alibi? Was this guy so sophisticated that he thought he was not going to be caught? But I can tell you what we've seen here tonight, law enforcement has done an excellent job, Kellyanne.
They certainly have. And as Nicole pointed out, as we all know, it was a full-scale effort, obviously, everyone working together. Stuart, I know the public can be very impatient, especially in this day and age, but It sounds like the FBI, where you once worked, did its job along with local law enforcement. Give us your reaction to tonight's developments.
Well, my hat's off to law enforcement, but Kelly, I'll take a little bit of a different angle. I'd be very interested to read the after-action report that will come once the dust settles. It's my opinion that there were certain mistakes that were made early on, right after the shooting, that quite frankly had a cascading effect that probably hindered the progression. I also want to say, I think this should be a lesson to law enforcement to have the politicians do their press conferences alone without stifling and interfering this pressure that law enforcement needs to get out in front of a podium. I think it eroded the confidence and the trust in the local law enforcement. And my biggest concern is, did any of these mistakes early on, are we going to find out that potentially the second homicide, if in fact it turns out to be linked, meaning the homicide of the MIT professor, could that have been neutralized? Could that have been prevented but for some of these mistakes that stifled or interfered with a quicker apprehension of this individual? That's what I'm looking for sometime in the future.
Boy, I have to agree with you on a lot of that. I don't need a tweet, and I don't need to know what law enforcement knows while they're doing their work. I think we all have a right to know, but not the inside information. I'd rather get it right than get it fast, and I really appreciate you adding that to the conversation tonight. Nicole, Ted Stewart, thank you very much for your insights, and stay with us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.